Have you noticed this uncomfortable truth? The harder you try to start a conversation, the faster it dies. You say, "Hey, how are you?" They say, "Good." And just like that, silence. No connection, no energy. No one remembers the moment. Meanwhile, someone else walks into the same room. They don't talk much. They don't try to be funny. They don't try to impress. Yet people lean in. They listen. They feel drawn. It's not because that person is better looking. It's not because they're more entertaining or more confident on the surface. Something deeper is happening. Their words carry weight, not because of how many they use, but because of how present they are when they speak. The Stoics understood this long before social media, podcasts, or personal branding. Attraction doesn't come from talking more. It comes from being fully here. We live in a world where everyone is performing to sound smart, performing to seem interesting, performing so they won't be ignored. But here's the paradox. The more you perform, the less people feel you. Stoicism teaches a quiet truth. Presence beats performance, always. When you stop trying to impress, when you stop filling every silence, when you stop turning every conversation into a stage, something shifts. People feel safe around you. They feel seen. They feel heard. In this video, I'm going to share 6 simple phrases that naturally draw people toward you. These are not social tricks. They're expressions of character, curiosity, humility, empathy, calm, appreciation, and strong boundaries. And stay with me until the 4th one. It's the most misunderstood of all, and once you truly understand it, you'll notice an immediate change in how people respond to you. Because the moment you stop performing, people stop watching your act and start noticing who you really are. Here's the first thing the Stoics understood that most people miss. Attraction is not about saying more. It's about saying less, but meaning every word. Watch most conversations today. People talk fast. They talk long. They talk to fill space, not to create connection. But the person who carries quiet strength, they don't rush. They don't compete for attention. They choose their words carefully because they don't speak from habit. They speak from intention. To the Stoics, every word is a reflection of character. If you speak without awareness, you reveal impatience. If you interrupt, you reveal ego. If you over-explain, you often reveal insecurity. But when someone speaks less and listens more, something powerful happens. Their silence shows curiosity. Their pauses show confidence. Their restraint shows self-respect. They're not waiting for their turn to talk. They're actually present. Stoic communication isn't cold or distant. It's grounded. It's honest. It leaves space for the other person to exist without pressure. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how people trust someone who doesn't oversell themselves? Someone who doesn't need to dominate the conversation? That trust comes from clarity. Saying less doesn't mean being passive. It means your words are aligned with your values. You speak when it matters. You stay silent when it doesn't. You don't explain yourself to earn approval, and you don't cross your own boundaries just to be liked. That's why Stoic presence feels attractive. It communicates empathy without forcing it, appreciation without flattery, strength without noise. In a world addicted to constant talking, the person who chooses meaning over volume stands out instantly. And this is the foundation for everything that comes next. Because once your words carry weight, people don't just hear you, they feel you. The first phrase is simple, only 4 words, but most people never use it because it requires something rare, real attention. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes in conversation. Someone shares a story, a problem, or an idea, and immediately, the listener turns it into a comparison. "Oh yeah, that happened to me too. Here's what I would do. Let me tell you my version." Without realizing it, the spotlight snaps back to the ego. The intention might be good, but the message feels clear. This is about me now. That's where this phrase changes everything. Tell me more about that. And then, this part matters. You stop talking. No advice, no interruption, no story of your own. Just presence. When you say these words and stay silent, you give something most people rarely experience. Being fully heard, without being judged, fixed, or redirected. This isn't a social trick. It's a Stoic practice. You're choosing curiosity over control, listening over performing, and something subtle but powerful happens. The other person relaxes, their voice deepens. They open up, not because you impressed them, but because you made space for them. Here's the truth most people don't realize. People don't remember you because you were interesting. They remember you because they felt interesting around you. Think about the people you trust the most. They weren't the loudest in the room. They were the ones who listened without rushing. When you stop trying to add value to every sentence, you start creating value with your attention. And in a world where everyone wants to be heard, the person who truly listens becomes unforgettable. The second phrase is even shorter, just 3 words, yet almost no one has the courage to say them. I don't know. When someone asks us a question we don't fully understand, the instinct is automatic. We improvise, we give a vague answer, we say something, anything, just to sound competent. Because in our culture, not knowing feels like weakness. But here's what most people don't realize. Pretense leaks. Even when your words sound confident, people feel the gap, the hesitation, the over-explaining, and the moment that happens, trust quietly drops. Now imagine a different response. Looks you in the eye, and calmly says, I don't know. No apology, no excuses, no nervous laughter. Just clarity. This is not ignorance, this is strength. Socrates built an entire philosophy on this idea. He was considered wise not because he knew everything, but because he knew exactly where his knowledge ended. The Stoics understood the same truth. Knowledge begins where arrogance ends. When you stop pretending, something shifts in the room. Your presence feels grounded. People don't lose respect for you. They lean in, because honesty creates safety, and safety creates trust. Ironically, the moment you admit what you don't know, your words start carrying more weight, not less. In a world full of confident noise, clarity feels rare. And the person who is secure enough to say, I don't know, is the person people actually want to listen to. The third phrase doesn't sound powerful at first. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't offer solutions. And that's exactly why it works. When someone shares pain, stress at work, a breakup, a failure, or something they're quietly carrying, most people react the same way. They rush to fix it. They offer advice. They tell their own story. They mean well, but it often lands as judgment, as if the message is, you shouldn't feel this way. The Stoic response is different. That sounds hard. Nothing more. You're not solving the problem. You're not minimizing it. You're not explaining it away. You're simply acknowledging reality. And for someone in pain, that changes everything. Stoic strength is often misunderstood as emotional distance. But true Stoicism isn't cold. It's controlled. It's the ability to stay present with someone's discomfort without needing to escape it. When you say, that sounds hard, you give the other person permission to breathe, to feel without being corrected, to exist without being rushed toward a solution. This is not weakness. This is emotional discipline. It takes far more strength to sit with discomfort than to cover it up with advice. And when people feel emotionally safe, they open up naturally. They don't need you to rescue them. They need to feel understood. In a world that constantly tells people to move on and stay positive, the person who can calmly say, that sounds hard, becomes someone others trust deeply. Because safety isn't created by answers, it's created by presence. And this is where most people lose control of the conversation. Phrase 4. Silence. This is the phrase most people misunderstand, because it doesn't sound like a phrase at all. Silence. The moment a conversation goes quiet, most people panic. They rush to fill the space with nervous words, random stories, forced laughter. They think silence means failure. But the Stoics saw it differently. They knew silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. Watch someone who is comfortable with silence. They don't rush. They don't interrupt themselves. They pause, on purpose. And when they finally speak, everyone listens, because silence sends a powerful signal. What comes next matters. Silence shows confidence. It shows self-control. It shows you're not afraid of your own thoughts, or someone else's. Most people talk to escape discomfort. Stoics stay still, inside it. When you stop running from silence, you stop running from yourself. This is why silence feels magnetic. It creates tension without pressure, depth without noise. In a loud world, the calm presence stands out instantly. Silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you're choosing not to say everything. And that restraint gives your words weight. Phrase 5. I appreciate you. At first, this phrase sounds almost too simple, just 3 words. But it goes far beyond thank you. Thank you often feels transactional. You helped me. You completed a task. You did what was expected. I appreciate you speaks to the person, not the output. It says, I see you. Your character, your consistency, your loyalty, your quiet kindness that doesn't always get noticed. We live in a world obsessed with productivity. People are praised for how much they do, how fast they move, how hard they work, and slowly, something dangerous happens. Burnout rarely comes from working too hard. It comes from being valued only for usefulness, never for humanity. That's why this phrase lands differently. When you say, I appreciate you, sincerely and sparingly, you remind someone that their worth is not tied to performance. We're not rewarding effort. You're recognizing presence. And people never forget that feeling. They may forget what they did for you, but they will always remember the moment someone saw them as a human being, not a function, not a role, not a task to be completed. Inside of hailed, praise 6. No, this is the hardest word to say, and the most freeing. People ask for your time, your energy, your attention. Most people say yes out of guilt, out of habit, out of fear of disappointing others. But here's the Stoic truth. Every time you say yes to what doesn't matter, you quietly say no to what does. Your peace, your focus, your growth. Watch someone who has learned to say no. They pause, they consider. And if the answer is no, they say it calmly. No apology, no long explanation. Because when your no is real, your yes becomes powerful. Boundaries don't push the right people away. They filter out the wrong ones. These 6 phrases work for one reason. They're not performance, they're presence. Be curious enough to listen, humble enough to admit you don't know, gentle enough to validate pain, calm enough to sit in silence, aware enough to appreciate others, strong enough to protect your time. Attraction isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting what's unnecessary. The noise, the need to impress, the fear of rejection. And the moment you stop performing, people stop watching your act and start noticing who you are. So here's a simple challenge. Choose one phrase, just one. Practice it in the next 24 hours. And watch how the world responds when your words finally carry weight.